I'm Vicki Davis, Martin County Supervisor of Elections. Thank you for joining us for Project Vote History. Local residents reflect on memories they have gained over the years regarding public service, the election process, and the importance of voting. Joining me today is Thelma Waters. Welcome, Miss Thelma.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you here from Indiantown. Made the trip all the way in to share some of your voting experiences and thoughts and activism out in Indiantown with our listeners and viewers. So anything you would like to share about voting and the voting experience that maybe your parents shared with you and your siblings when they went to vote for the very first time?
Voting was very serious when we were growing up. My parents watched the news, and before they could watch it, they would listen to the news. Whatever candidate was running, they would always listen to see what was being said and how it was going to affect us. And the church group would always come together and ask each other, and especially ask my parents, who we voting for this year? Who do you like? What does it sound like? We want somebody good. And they would vote collectively. However, my parents said whoever they were voting for, that's who they voted for. Because they educated themselves. They educated themselves.
And then educated.
And educated the group. Mm-hmm. The prayer group, the missionary group, the church group, whatever it was. Right. And that's how it started from there. We had no telephones, but it's amazing how the word got around who was the person that we need to be voting for.
Yes.
And that's how we did it. That's how it was done. And we saw the importance of it and how it was done. And election day, flags went up. Different ones volunteered to get people to the polls to vote.
So
it was real important. Yeah.
Very patriotic, very important.
Yes.
For your family, your community.
Yes.
And I know you've been in Booker Park for many years now and been an advocate for the residents and voters in Booker Park. When I came into office in 2005, I wasn't in office very long, and I had a call from you about needing a precinct in the Booker Park neighborhood. Yes, and can you share with our listeners why you felt that was so important to have a precinct in Booker Park? Voting
is a privilege and it's a right. And it should be accessible to any person that wants to vote. You should be able to really walk to your polls if whether you have a car or not, or whether you have transportation, or whether someone's going to pick you up or not. You should be able to just walk to your polls and vote. And that's the importance of it. It feels like it belongs to us when it's like that.
Yep. So I got busy. I put a precinct in place, and that's exactly what you shared with me, that some of the residents don't have transportation, and they needed to be able to just walk to their local precinct to cast their vote, because letting their voice be heard in the elections.
And it doesn't seem important enough now to for people to pick other persons up to take them to the polls. Do you need a ride?
Right.
That was the thing. They used to call around or get the word out. Who needs a ride? Who wants to go to? You got to vote.
Yes.
If you need a ride, I'm going to pick you up. And they're really give them the time, they're going to pick them up and take them and vote, and then they take them back home.
Yes.
But that was real important.
If you were to pass on any words of wisdom to young people, your grandchildren, about being involved in the process, what would you share with those young people?
That voting is very important. If you don't vote, whoever gets in and whatever they do, you don't say nothing, because you didn't participate and you didn't take a part. You kept everything to yourself, so now keep that to yourself. We don't need to hear it. That's the only thing I can say. If you don't take a part, then you really are not telling us and letting us know that you're a citizen and that you care about what happens.
Okay. Is there any favorite memory about voting, about being active in the Indiantown community that you would like to share?
About my parents, when candidates were on talking, and it was a lot of us. But when that news came on, you could hear a pin fall.
In your house?
In my house, because they had made sure everybody be quiet. We want to hear what's going on. So, and you had to sit there or lay there and hear it too. And then when that went off, then he would ask us questions and say, I thought that man was a little different. We were saying we're going to vote for him, but I don't know. He hadn't really proven himself yet. We got to listen at him some more, something like that. But he would ask us, what did we hear? What did we like? What he said or didn't like? Stuff like that, and we would talk about it.
So good family memories.
Yes.
That revolved around the election process and making sure that each one of you were educated when you went out to vote. And I'm sure your parents just planted that seed within you, which is carried on now for generations to your children and now to your grandchildren as well. So
I think that the seed of being involved in volunteerism was planted in all of us from our parents. And it's just the thing to do. Yes.
Well, thank you for being here today, Ms. Thelma, and for sharing with us. I'm so glad you were able to make it in from Indiantown. And I'm Vicki Davis. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Project Vote History.